So with the productive use of tech, etc., please look past the aesthetic of the videos sometimes, especially ironically with the tech that we have, because the message and the understanding is what's vital and needed to be apparent for, for you to get a crystal real subtle exchange. And that's the thing with it. It's the subtle exchange. We don't necessarily know how our subconscious is rearranging it for our better. Because our subconscious is the one that's ultimately reacting to it on a subtle level. That's why they call it the subconscious. Like, some things don't have to affect us. Like, if you, just for a metaphorical, energetic example, if you were just bare bone fighting Godzilla and you had like something, to try to take it down, whatever you did, it would probably, like, in some instant and odds, it would be null and void because it would have an appropriate, like, just a whole different energetic defense mechanism. So that's the thing, like, our subconscious is our energetic defense mechanism, and we need the subconscious. We need, like, the organic elements and the uses and the clarity and the purity of that for us to grow our organic um energetic defense system. And we do, and the air is in our favor with clarity itself. The clarity itself feeds our subtle air body, our subconscious, and how the subconscious uses the air. The association and the connectivity that could be likened unto, like, fire and earth, yin and yang connectivity. That, and then the fire taking us, respectively, like, coming from this, like, subtle intuition place, and the water materializing from, that different levels and layers of connectivity and instrumentation, and the earth being just something of, like, just something of, like, intelligent form, or an author behind, what you are accredited to be. But for clarity's sake, and aside from that outrageous metaphor, if that's one thing you would like to call it, I bring up the thing, like, you versus Godzilla, the metaphor based on, like, maybe on one tangent, some that's what, like, the ancient Vedic sages are pointing to. Like, in one level, this surface level movie, that's what it is. It's the human, as and the real Atma is, like, something of, like, a spiritual Godzilla, respectively, but, like, in a whole different, like, way to look at it. And I know that metaphor might not align, like, exactly, but, like these things, they don't necessarily have power over us unless we ultimately, like allow it and consent it. So the key is to, like, not, like, consent on subtle levels, like on meditative levels. And within that, we could actually have a mature, sober understanding and realization next level, like, beyond, like, 500 years and 1,000 years, because the end goal is it's spiritual longevity. And how do we get spiritual longevity? Just on a general level, within this level of duality, seeing seeing two things. And the two things are, like, where are we particularly at ourselves, our own individual self, just focusing on ourselves, like, in a particular context. Where are we at with the mind, body, soul, organic energetics, respectively, with and without the tech? Because the tech is just a tool. The technology is just a tool, and being used differently. So it's like, it's all about your communes with your original parties to see what you guys will do to, quote unquote, intervene or not, end quote. And that's just because the star races are being represented through each individual and tribe. And if some star races accept a higher star race's creed, then that's just the subtle star race party of consciousness that we're not necessarily understanding, because we're all, like, consenting to this on a different, deeper level, because we're all convinced by, like, a central sun of the galaxy, because that central sun of the galaxy, everything is in reverse. So all the like, commands are coming from, like, that, but it's just filtered out, like, per our, like, energetic civilization confirmation biases. So we're not understanding how like the mental narrative mechanics are working on a spiritual level, respectively. But here it is, right here. So it's like to ultimately gain mental sovereignty, it's like two questions need to be asked or whatever, astrid, asterisk, what is not at risk, it's all an illusion. But the two questions that are being asked is like, where are we at within our organic energetics, and how on the most general, unbiased, neutral level, how do you not like the external society reality treating you on a general level? Like what doesn't fit with you, to get to the first question. So it's like we have to like we put our trust and faith in God, because ultimately, like, God is the thing, the most subtle thing and the most biggest thing simultaneously, and the most hidden thing that could be protecting us. So like if like all this material, like exchanges, quote unquote witchcraft end quote, are being kind of compiled and concocted and concoculated and like, exuberated and exchanged and like kind of like, re perfubulated or whatever, or just the exchange of it, like if all that was to be given to like a higher being of light, intelligence, consciousness in a whole different galactical field, respectively, then what like measure of like all of this material stuff have against the original spiritual world? Because we're misperceiving what the original spiritual world is, most respectively, in like different neutral ways, not just subject to the body, not just subject to the mind, but on a super spirit level, us uncompressing that and seeing the purpose of the mechanics of the limitation, and not seeing it as good or bad in a different way, because is it not just the mechanics of like the 16 prime godheads, respectively? But that's a different, that's a different chime. The main thing here is like we're like, there's a part of us that's wanting to be like, not complete or whole, just us wanting it to do our own way, and we created multiple different particular niche habits to like just be and create who we are, the essence of us. But all habits don't have to be detrimental or bad, or and some habits could be actually good. It's just a product of all the different environments and layers, spirit and non-spirit alike, that we're coming out of and back into, for however we're moving in cycles. Because like within cycles within cycles within cycles, that means we're coming in and out of different places and same places at the same time, because that's an orbit, like um if the earth is spinning, then we're engaging with a certain framework of the sun at a certain time of the day, and within that certain time of the day, the revealance of the sun allows us to do certain activities, and other mechanics and planets have magnetic pools to draw us towards different ways. Saturn, like us, like seeing the reality, or no, us seeing like, just like the matrix, and like, the system that's being kind of like, you know like our attention is going towards this on like a work ethic level. It's like we're on like on a systematic level. It's as if like we're being like kind of like pointed to focus energetically on a subtle level towards like, kind of like fantasy like, manipulate, quote unquote energetic manipulation end quote narrative type of things, not good, not bad, but like just kind of seeing like debunking like, Sat and Pice, respectively. But it's not, we're not like on a energy level, we're not going to give all the power just to one planet. Obviously, we're not going to be too vested with like, oh, it's the planets only. No, it's just recognizing and balance how they could be like having a magnetic to electric influence on what's going on, because the sun has electric influence. It's giving us energy to see like the picture of the earth, and within the sun's doing that to the other planets on a different level. So we're using the sun in a unique way to like see and receive energy, and and the sun on a simultaneous subtle unknown level, it also having its subtle magnetic pull. So that kind of like fine tuning, like, the different, layers of our atmosphere and stratosphere and hydrosphere and itself, it's kind of it's calibrated on a subtle level due to the sun having a subtle pull and a magnetic, because the sun is also magnetic. We're just not told that. And as the sun is like magnetic when it with its own tense, because it's something like a gateway to to the neutrino ocean, from how the solar system has a threshold to the galaxy. There's a unique layer context of the neutrino ocean thresholds that interact with the sun's field of interferometry, because it's not that like it's not that like there's just a fixed positioning of all the planets moving in a fixed rhythm. No, they have their own like field of energy networks of how they all intermesh within one another. All their radio waves of themselves, they interact with each other, and they're more prominent based at their frequency base. And at their frequency base, there's something of a radiance, a revealance, an emitting of light, a push, radiance, push, and then emitting, and then there's something of like, a more darker receiving pool of the planets based on their yin and yang nature of their mind and body and soul. So it's like, the two questions that are really pertinent here are just is just like kind of like, where are we at within our own organic energetics. But that's the thing, like, for whatever reason we don't care, because we've been, chemical, we've just been like, given a narrative where that's a program running in our body, and we've been entrained with that to not even like give a flying f about that. But we don't know why that would benefit us, and it would benefit like an organic spirituality to possibly be within this life and beyond this life, or both, or a little bit of away from both, you know. And then the second question is that's just like that's really raising the bar on all the intelligence, if you really think about it. So thank you. Have a great life.